So you see two coins moving together and you think, okay, one's the boat, the other's the water. And you're not wrong. But what if I told you the whole machine is actually designed to control the tide itself? Yeah, we're going to dig into how this thing really works.
Look, when Plasm and ESHare pump at the exact same time, it's easy to just write it off as market hype. But it's not, at all. It's pure mechanics. It's a system, and a pretty ruthless one, that's built to do exactly that. Today, we're popping the hood and taking a look at the engine.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start by shattering the biggest myth about the supply. Then, we'll follow the money and see how the machine actually fuels itself. After that, we'll look at its defenses, find the real cell pressure, and finally, reveal the secret weapon that holds this whole thing together.
Let's get right into it with the Iceberg. Now, I know everyone sees that massive total supply number and immediately panics about a crash. But here's the secret. You're looking at the wrong number. The real one is hiding in plain sight.
Just take a look at this chart. You see that huge 55% slice? That's staked supply. Think of it as being frozen in a block of ice. It literally cannot be sold today. It's locked. Then you've got another 13% that's been burned. Just gone, forever. So forget about that scary total supply number. This little 5%, the liquid part we call slush, this is the only part of the supply that can actually be sold and put pressure on the price right now. It's the only number that matters today. And, well, it's pretty tiny, isn't it? So, the analogy to keep in your head is simple. All those staked tokens, that's the massive iceberg, deep under the water, totally stable. The liquidity pool is the ocean itself, absorbing the waves. And that little bit of liquid slush on top, that's the only thing you really have to pay attention to. Okay, so the price is way more stable than it looks. But what happens when people do start selling off that slush? How does the protocol actually defend itself? Well, let's take a look at the engine that creates all the ammunition. Now, this is where a ton of people get it wrong. They see a big pile of money in the vault and they think, oh, awesome, a war chest to buy up any dips. Nope, that is not how it works. You can't just spend the money in the vault. Think of the vault as the seed you plant, not the harvest you eat. It's actually a really clever four-step cycle. Revenue comes in and goes into the vault. The vault uses that to buy bonds. Those are the seeds. Those bonds then produce yield, like interest. That yield is the real money. That's the daily ammo the protocol uses for its defenses. It lives off the interest, not the principal. So now we've got our daily supply of ammo generated from the yield. How is it actually used? Well, the protocol has two main weapons in its arsenal to push back against any selling. These tools are called the spigots. And that name is perfect because they don't fire a cannonball of cash for the problem. They just open a tap. Instead of a huge buy that would cause a crazy price spike, they just drip, drip, drip that support in, slow and steady. And these spigots have two settings. The first is buy and burn. Super simple. The protocol buys Plasm off the market and just destroys it. Poof, gone. That makes every other token more scarce and more valuable. The other setting is buy and build. It buys Plasm, pairs it up with cash, and adds it to the liquidity pool, making that ocean deeper and the price harder to push around. Okay, let's tackle the one thing that freaks everybody out. You go to the stats page, you see this giant payout number, and you start thinking the whole thing is about to get dumped into oblivion. But that number isn't what you think it is. Right? You see a number like this, $300,000 listed under pool payout, and your stomach just drops. You're thinking, man, if all of that gets sold, the price is going to zero. But that's not money about to hit the market. It's just the on-paper budget. It's what's been allocated, not what's been released. See, this is why you have to ask the right question. The question isn't, what's the total budget? The only question that matters is, how much of that can actually be sold today? And the answer is, well, it's a number that looks a lot more like this. So while the total budget might be 300 grand, the actual amount of new tokens that unlock today might only be worth 5,000. That's the real sell pressure. And that's a number the protocol's daily yield is more than equipped to handle. All right, it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. The secret weapon, the hidden gear that makes this entire machine so powerful. This is why ESHare and Plasm are basically married to each other. So to get this, you just need to understand what a liquidity pair is. It's really simple. It's just when two tokens are locked together in a trading pool. The price of one is always being calculated based on the price of the other. And for Plasm, its main trading partner isn't the dollar, it's ESHare. And here is the absolute simplest way to think about it. ESHare is the water level in the ocean. Plasm is just a boat floating on top of it. When the tide rises, what happens to the boat? It goes up too, automatically. The water does all the heavy lifting.
Let's just look at the raw map. Say 1 ESHare is worth $100. And for that 1 ESHare, you can trade it for 10 plasm. Easy enough, right? Each plasm is worth $10. Okay, now watch. The only thing that changes is that ESHare pumps to $200. The exchange rate is the same. 1 ESHare still gets you 10 plasm. But now, since the ESHare itself is worth more, each of those plasm tokens is suddenly worth $20. Plasm literally just got a free ride up.
And this is where it all comes full circle. The protocol knows this relationship is its secret weapon. So when it uses that buy and build spigot we talked about, it's not just supporting the price, it's actively pouring more water into the ocean, making that bond between Plasm and ESHare even tighter. So let's recap the core rules of this machine. 1. Most of the supply is locked up, frozen solid. 2. The protocol runs on its daily income, not its savings account. 3. The real daily sell pressure is a tiny fraction of what you think it is. And 4, the big one, ESHare's price is the tide that lifts the plasm boat. Period.
And that's it. That's the machine, stripped down to its gears. It's not random. It's not based on hype. It's a system of icebergs and engines and water levels, all working together for one purpose. So the only question I have for you is, now that you know how it really works, what do you see when you look at the chart?